Hello everybody, my name's Hocus Pocus and welcome back to the Minecraft Let's Play. This is episode 63 of the series and we are starting things off once again for approximately the 10th episode in a row now, maybe more. The 10th episode in a row, around there, of the work that has been going on over at the Guardian farm. So if you were with me for the last episode, you will recognize immediately where we are. We are stood in front of the newly and freshly designed storage area. So let's quickly take a little bit of a tour around there. So as you can see, the water elevators on either side of the room are still very much in place. We have a bit of a diorite border going around the inside of the room. The ceiling, similarly to up above, is made out of the dark prismarine, which we ran out of in the last episode. And of course, that is quite a difficult block to come by, so we probably aren't going to be using that much more of it in the future. But if we do, we're obviously going to have to go out and kill a few squid for their ink sacs. And then finally, at the back here, we've added in a ceiling and just a general bit of design work to the top layer up there, where the various items that don't fit into the silos will make their way. And they are slowly beginning to pile up in these chests. So for today's episode, we are going to be heading upstairs to start things off. And that is because there are a few fixes I need to make to the killing chamber itself. So if we head in there, you'll notice one thing immediately if we kill a few of the guardians. So let's just take a few out here, swing a couple times. You'll notice that they managed to break free. And of course, this is not something that we want to be happening all of the time. So we are going to have to find a way to prevent that. And I really don't know what to do. So I think what we'll do is we'll take some time off camera to figure it out, maybe look on the internet a little bit for some suggestions, and put something together that's going to allow me to kill the guardians without having to worry about them spilling out into the rest of the room. Because of course it does become a bit of a pain to have to exit the killing chamber to finish off any guardians that manage to escape. So we'd rather just have them all remain in this room here so that we can kill them in one central location. So as I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out something to prevent that from happening. I'm going to get it installed. And then I guess we can move on from there, really. I don't really know anything else specifically that we have to get done in here. But we can just get some general cleanup work done. Maybe do something about this area here, the top layer and the walls. But we will come to that when we get to that obstacle. I think I've came up with something. So we went and gathered a little bit of spruce wood. And we're going to use that to craft a couple more trapdoors here. And what we're going to do is we're going to place 2 trapdoors up here. I guess, like so. And then we'll have 2 at the bottom. So now we can go ahead and break these bits of stone to let the guardians back into the farm. And we can go ahead and place the water back in as well. So let's do that. 1 bucket there and 1 bucket there, and the guardians should start to survive the drop. We can go ahead and filter a few drops through the system that we picked up. There we go, perfect. So this is the system I've got. If we swipe the guardians now, they should definitely not be able to leave the farm, which is exactly what happens. The only issue is that we are going to have to maneuver our way out each time. So we have to do this, and then this, and then this, and then this, every time we want to leave. So that's going to be a little bit annoying, but I'd rather have that in place and have to mess around each time we come into the farm, like so, than have the guardians spilling out when we are killing them. So I think it's a good trade-off, and I'm pretty happy with the simplicity and how cheap the design was to implement. So now that we've got that sorted, we can move on to the next step of this video. The only change so far since last time is that I've extended these diorite pillars up to the ceiling, as I said I would in the last episode, I believe. So we could go ahead and install something very similar to the glass and kelp that we've got up there down here as well. Maybe that'd be a good idea, but at the moment I'm going to leave it blank so that we can make a decision on that. However, we do need to come up with a wall design to fill in from this block to this block, and from this block to this block. And I think that it might be sensible to go with something similar to this. So we need to craft up a few of the prismarine bricks and prismarine blocks. So let's take a full row here and then another 4, so we can make a stack of each. So we're going to stick those in there, in there, in there, in there, and fill up the grid like so. There we go. And then the last 4 stacks can be put into a 4x4, sorry, a 2x2 to create the prismarine. There we go. So let's just test this out over here. We're going to break out a 4 high segment of the wall, like so. And we're just going to fill in a small bit of the design just to see if it looks okay or not. So here we go. Let's place in some of the prismarine brick blocks, like this, and also here. And then we can go ahead and do the same thing up there like that. Okay, so of course it does look very linear. We could install some lighting as well, I suppose. Whereabouts would we put that though? Maybe in those 2 spaces there. Let me grab some of the sea lanterns quickly, and we can put some of those in. There we go. So how does that look? And then of course we'll continue this all the way up. So I think I might just go ahead and put this design in, and then we'll check out how it looks once it's all filled in, because from this little segment here I can't really decide whether or not I like it. So I think it might be best just to install it all, and then if we don't like it we can work on changing it or dismantling it after we put it in place. Quick update. We've got some of the wall design in place, so let's quickly take a look at that together. So of course we got a few lights in on this side, a few of the lanterns. Didn't bother putting any in right here because I don't think it needs it. It's such a small area. I think it'll be adequately lit by these lanterns that are going up the side here. So on the opposite side of the room we've mirrored the design, and we've made a few changes up above as well. So let's quickly pop up there, and there are a few blocks I need to place in still up here. So we can take a look at that while we're on the trail. So as you can see, I sort of brought this out. So these 2 blocks here were originally here. The 2 diorite blocks here, they were originally here. We've actually pushed them forward 1 block so that we can line it up with this pillar of diorite here, just so that things look equal. Otherwise we'd have a pillar of diorite that ends there and then one that begins here, and I just don't think that would look right. So we now have one sequential diorite pillar that runs all the way from the bottom to the top, and we have another 4 wide gap that is similar to this 4 wide gap here. So we can just implement the same design in this space, and I think everything will work out perfectly. So I do need a couple of slabs to go in here, so we can quickly create those together, just like that. And then we can go 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm also just going to place a torch here and there because of course it's getting quite dark and mobs actually could spawn here. I'm not sure if the Guardian farm actually would override any mob spawns in the immediate area. I would imagine so, because you don't see a lot of mobs around here, but just to be sure, I think I'll keep it lit up. But as you can see, things are progressing nicely. We've got a little bit of the wall design in down in the corner there, so we're going to extend that up to the ceiling and then see where the video takes us from that point. Some more slight changes have taken place inside of the Guardian farm. So as you can see, to the right hand side of the Guardian pixel art, we've sort of changed the pattern. And I think I like this a little bit more than the thick layer of white that we had just before this. So I'm going to change that on the other side as well. Let's get that done right now. We can fly on down there and we can build ourselves up so that we can get to work. And essentially all I've done is I've pulled out these 2 blocks. Let's get down a couple of blocks. I pulled out these blocks. I've filled this in with prismarine brick, like so. We've changed these 2 blocks to lanterns just to provide the light. That means we can dispatch those, fill that in with the brick, draw the diorite across like so, try and get in the gap to grab some of the blocks, and then we can get out of here. Let's take a look from the top floor once again, just to gauge whether or not we have made the right choice. I believe that we have, but we will just double check once over right now. So there we go. Yep, I think that's a lot better than what we had previously. Also, we went ahead and squared off the top floor. So I didn't really want to do this. I quite liked how it was when it was rounded off, but I'm struggling to find the correct layout, because if you can see, things just look a lot more flush when it's square. So I might just leave it in that fashion and hope that when we put the glass in at the top, that it turns out okay. I'm sure it will, but I do much prefer how this segment down here looks. I'll quickly outline it for you here. So this segment here, that rectangle there, looks when it's squared off at the top. So I think we will leave it that way. And then of course we'll have the glass screen that runs between all of that diorite up there. We're gonna have to change the roof layout up there maybe as well, just to make sure that things are coherent, but we'll get that done in good time. Right now though, we're going to go ahead, I think, and change this segment and this segment to match the rest. And then once that's done, we can take a look at everything in perspective and check out whether or not things are going in the right direction. Wall number 1 complete and wall number 2 complete. So of course that was a very quick job to get done. No skin off our nose to complete it. So now that we've done that, I think we need to alter the ceiling, which is kind of annoying because I like the way it is at the moment. But we do need a line of diorite to run down the middle here. So for that reason, we are going to go ahead and grab some wherever we put it. I put it somewhere around here. I know I did. Okay, I'll just take the unpolished and make it polished, and then we'll pile our way up here. And we'll go ahead and just run the seam of diorite across, like so. And if you noticed in my inventory, I have a bunch more ink sacs. That's because we went out to kill a few squid in the meantime, just so that we can create some more dark prismarine when the time comes, because I am going to need some of that very shortly for the ceiling work here. So it's best to have the materials ready than not to have them ready, I believe. So we're almost done here, putting in the diorite. There we go. So now we can remove this diorite as well. So we can place in the dark prismarine, as I just mentioned. So let's gain access to this here and take it down. There we go. And there we go. So a little bit more to go here. Not too much left, but just a little bit more to gather. So if we hop up here, we can take this little bit out, and we need to take those little bits out, which I just about can't reach. But if we go across a few blocks, should be able to get them out. There we go. So that's all of that taken out and taken care of. So now we need to remove these blocks, which I'm not going to bore you with. I'll probably do the rest of this off camera. But we're just going to fill in the dark prismarine from the area that it covers at the moment all the way up to this boundary. And then we should have a nice ceiling worked in and ready for the glass screen that's going to run across this area here. We need to craft ourselves some dark prismarine, and that is because, as you may know, we are about to install our ceiling. So for that reason, we need to grab ourselves some prismarine shards. I'll probably just go ahead and grab enough to ensure that we can cover this 40 stack of ink sacs that we've got here. So let's just put those around in a circle like so. Start distributing them out a little bit. There we go. Craft those up, and we can just return these shards back to where they belong. There we go. And now we can go ahead and convert some of these into slabs. So we'll do that much for now. That might not be enough, I'm not sure. I can't actually remember what the area is that we need to cover, but 36 might do it. We'll go and check right now. We've got some I don't know what I'm going to say there, but we've got some scaffolding in place, ready to gain us access to the ceiling so that we can go ahead and place these blocks in, like this. And I can't seem to reach that one. Come on, there we go. So now we can go ahead and just lay these slabs down to form the remainder of the ceiling, which of course we've now stretched out to match the rest of the design. So we are going to need some more slabs here. We do have a crafting bench readily available, so let's just go ahead and convert them all. I doubt we're going to need any full dark prismarine blocks for the time being. So we'll go ahead and put those in like so. And then we need to be able to reach right up there. There we go. And all the way along to the diorite here. There we go. And we are finished. So that's the ceiling in place now for the upper layer. Of course, we did have to make a couple changes because of the way things were working out for us, but I think it'll be fine in the end. Anyway, we are probably going to need some glass now, so I might head off to the desert biome and harvest some of that. And once we've got it, we can bring it back and start work on this section and this section. So I just remembered that the desert biome is actually quite a way away. So what we decided to do instead is we've scouted out this small island here, and I think I'm going to sink it back into the ocean. And what I mean by that is we're just going to decimate it, take all of the sand that we possibly can, and hopefully, if we dig down far enough, the water will just override this thing and reclaim it back as its own. So we won't actually be leaving any mess around. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to take all of this sand, and then once we're done, we can of course head back to the Guardian farm and start to smelt some of it up and install it as we see fit. A quick trip back to the base was in order, and we well, I think I've got everything I need to go back to the Guardian farm now. We've cooked up some glass, which is a priority. We've also got ourselves some cactus green, and the reason for that is because we're going to go ahead and craft up a bunch of cyan dice. We've got a full stack of that now, so we shouldn't possibly run out of that, or at least I wouldn't imagine. So we've got ourselves 5 stacks of glass. We've also got another 2.5 stacks of sand. The reason we need this is just in case we need backup glass, and also we can use this to craft up a bit more concrete to use on the inside of the Guardian Eye. That's another thing that we need to get fixed. Of course, I grabbed a few more ink sacs on the way back here. Also killed a few more creepers to get a few more rockets. Shulker box we didn't actually need to use in the end, so I can move that up there. But I think that right now we are probably going to make our way back to the Guardian farm and try to get to work on putting some of the glass in that we need to install in the area, and also work on the fixtures that are going to go above the lower entrances to the staircases. The top layer is pretty much complete now, so we've got the glass panes in place, as you can see, just bordering the divide between the top layer and the overhang, and I think this works well. Of course, you can look over to see the Guardian. If you stand up here, you can actually get a full view of the entire thing. We still do need to put a bit of light in the area because, of course, you can see it's actually very dark and dingy in more than one place, and I'm still kind of unsure. The reason I'm talking so slow is because I'm trying to figure out a way that we could light this part of the room up, but I really don't know, honestly. It's quite difficult, to be fair. We could try and think of something, maybe a middle parting that has a bit of lighting in it, something like that. I don't know at the moment. I kind of do want to keep this all glass though, because I like the way that you can look out into the next segment of the room. However, we can move on from that now because we are pretty much done, as I said, with the top layer. So let's go downstairs and take a look at what's to come next. So the next part of the build is to figure out what goes in here and what goes in there. And I have a good idea. It's going to be something similar to what we have upstairs on top of the entrances to the stairways. So we're going to be digging this out a little bit, just like this. Pushing it probably to a 3x3 on the inside. Well, it's a 4 wide actually, isn't it? It's a 4 wide, so it's ever so slightly different. Maybe we could go with a 4x4 here then, just to capitalize on the size difference. So if we just dig that out quickly together, then I can sort of tell you the plans that we have. So what have we got so far? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. There we go. Just take that all the way out. So let me start conveying to you what I kind of want to do here. So it's going to be very similar to what we have upstairs. We're going to probably fill the whole thing with water. However, I think down here we will have a bit of plant life and such, but I want to include a little bit more of fauna, let's say. So we've got the flora upstairs, but we want the fauna downstairs. So I might try and put a few fish in here. If we can capture anything a bit more extravagant, then I guess we can go ahead and do that, but that might be a little bit too difficult. We will see though. But as I said, I do want to fill it with water and then hopefully spice it up a little bit with some plant life, some fish, and possibly anything else that we can catch and store in here. There goes our plans straight away. We're gonna actually have to keep this to a depth of 3, I believe, so like that, unfortunately, because otherwise we're gonna run across a few issues, but that should be fine. A 4x3 like that should work. So there you go. Plans do change, as you can see, but that will be fine. As I said, we'll be able to work around that. So I'm gonna get it done, probably implement some sort of design, and then we will figure out about transferring it to the other side. One side of the room is pretty much there. Of course, the ceiling is yet to be elaborated, but I think we'll get to that when we actually fill this thing with water and populate it, which I won't be doing in this episode, unfortunately, because we are running out of time. However, we need to install some glass on the other side, so I'm going to go ahead and get that done with you guys on camera. We should have just enough cyan stained glass to complete the build. If not, then my mental math skills are terribly bad. But we are going to go all the way to the top here, and once we've got this finished up, as I said, we will be ending the video, and then in a future episode we'll go ahead and organize what will go inside of these towers. Of course, water is a guarantee, as I said, but what will populate that water is yet to be disclosed. So there we go. We've filled in the glass on both sides, and let me just quickly show you this as well. If we take a look from this side, I really like how this looks. This is really cool in my opinion. It's a lot of textures going on, but it works really, really well. And the glass as well blends in seamlessly just to create a nice look and feel for this room. And I'm really proud of how this Guardian Farm's turned out, and how we've managed to sculpt something a little bit different from the norm with the pixel art and all that sort of good stuff. So yeah, really, really pleased with how it turned out. And that reminds me as well, we also need to install that red concrete up there, which I'm probably not going to do in this episode because I think we're going to wrap things up now, but I just need to set myself a mental reminder to get that done. Anyway, that is going to be all for this episode, you guys. Thank you very much for being with me today and watching the video. It is much appreciated as always. If you did like what you saw, then be sure to drop a like down below. That will help me out and help the channel out, and I really, really do thank you guys for those of you who do leave a like on the video. It is much appreciated, as I always say. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments in general, any suggestions about where we can take this build next or improve it, or what you want me to put inside of those glass columns, please, please, please let me know. And finally, if you're new around here, then make sure to subscribe. That way you can stay tuned to this series and any other videos that I decide to post on the channel. So once again, you guys, thank you very much for taking a precious time out of your day to watch my video. It really does make me feel good to see that you guys do like to come over here and see what I'm doing in my Let's Play. Make sure to take care of yourselves, make sure to take care of your families, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye for now.